"We're not your bank anymore." Her tone was sharp, dripping with the kind of smugness you could tell she'd practiced in her head 100 times. I didn't say a word. I just looked at her and let the silence wrap around that arrogance until it started to feel heavy. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from my trust manager. Approve their $20,000 monthly allowances? I typed one word. Denied. It still amazes me how people can twist the past so easily. They act like I was the one begging, like I was some burden living off them. Truth is, I was always the afterthought. My brother got the car at 16, the credit cards, the constant support. I got silence. I worked, hustled, and built from nothing. Every single win I have today I earned with my own hands. When my grandparents passed, they left a trust. Not for my parents, not for my brother, but for me. Because I was the youngest, they put in rules and payouts I couldn't fully control until I turned 25. They never expected I'd stick to those limits. They figured I'd blow it all like my brother, but I didn't. I invested. I grew it. And somewhere along the way, I realized my parents weren't just borrowing now and then. They were draining me. The family expenses were really just their lifestyle, $20,000 a month. For them, not me. The betrayal wasn't some dramatic scene. It crept in slowly. Through phone calls that always ended with just one more thing, and texts that promised only until next month. Then came the lies. Dinners charged as business meetings, vacations logged as medical trips. At first I let it slide. Maybe out of guilt, maybe because I was used to giving in. But then I overheard my father bragging at a barbecue saying, "My son takes care of us now, finally paying us back for raising him." That was the twist of the knife. They didn't see it as help. They saw it as repayment. A debt I never agreed to, one they thought I owed. That's when I stopped thinking like their son and started thinking like a strategist. I went through every account, every wire, every transaction. Quietly, I met with my trust manager. I didn't confront my parents. Why would I warn thieves before locking the vault? My plan was simple. Cut them off, cleanly and legally. I just needed the right moment. And it came with my mother's smug declaration. "We're not your bank anymore." Perfect. That night, I sent one message. Denied. 20 years of entitlement erased with one word. Then came the real move. I met with the trustees and set up new rules. Any request in my name had to come from me. Directly, face to face. No more middlemen, no more fake emergencies. Next, I froze the credit cards they'd been using, the ones they insisted were joint. By the next morning, they were declined at their favorite restaurant. By that afternoon, the mortgage company called me, because the house they lived in wasn't even in their names. It was in mine. I'd been paying it all along. Now they could pay rent to me. 2 weeks later, the storm hit. They showed up at my house, furious. My mother's voice cracked with rage. "How could you embarrass us like this? Our cards declined. Do you know what people will say?" I stayed seated, calm, sipping a glass of water. "You told me you weren't my bank," I said. "Funny." "Because I was yours." My father's jaw locked tight. My brother hovered behind them, unsure whose side to take. I placed the folders on the table, bank statements, transfers, their signatures, proof piled higher than excuses. "I didn't take from you," I said quietly. "You took from me. And now it's over." They shouted, threatened, and begged, cycling through denial like addicts cut off from their fix. I let them talk themselves dry. Then I ended it. "The house you live in is mine. The accounts you used are closed. If you want money, earn it like I did." The silence that followed was perfect. Heavy, final. A family empire crumbling in one quiet room. They left without another word. That night, I slept better than I had in years. They called, I ignored it. They posted online, tried to shame me. I didn't respond. Power isn't in explaining yourself, it's in knowing you don't need to. I didn't betray them. I didn't punish them. I simply stopped feeding them. And when leeches lose their host, they don't go quietly. I printed that text, denied, and framed it on my wall. Because sometimes revenge isn't fire or fury. Sometimes it's silence. Sometimes it's just pulling the plug and watching them sink into the emptiness they created. And I'll never forget their faces the moment they realized the bank of me was closed forever.